Hello friends, welcome to Easy Nurse, where nursing education made easy. So mainly today in this sessions we are diving with the psychology and sociology, and mainly this subject belongs to the first semester. So in this session we'll discuss more important questions as well as more important topics. So let's start about today's session. So first is the definitions of a psychology. So what is the psychology? Psychology is nothing but study about the human mind and behavior. How their mind and their thinking is reflecting on their behavior. That subject is called as a psychology, right? So see the definition. Psychology is a scientific study of human behavior and mental process. So that definition is given by the Feldman in the year of 2001. Next is psychology is a scientific study of the behavior of the humans and animals. That definition is given by the H.D. Ham in the year of 1962. Next, psychology is a study of a mind and behavior, and that definition is given by the American Psychological Association in the year of 1983. So now come to the next, that is classifications of human behavior. So based on their psychological or their mindical theory, it's reflect on their behavior, right? So there are several classifications are there. First is on the basis of the thinking. So based on that there are two types. First is molecular and second one is molar. So molecular is nothing but it's a sudden instinct and then thoughtless action, and molar in the sense it's nothing but conscious thought as well as the reasoning. Okay, so now come to the next on the basis of the visibility. So in that overt is nothing but like actions that is directing observed by the other people, as example barking, talking, etc. Next is the covert is nothing but it's an internal unobservable actions, as example thought, their feelings and memories as well as emotions. Next, on the basis of action like voluntary and involuntary, without thinking anything they are acting on the situations, and involuntary in the sense they are thinking and based on that they are acting. Now come to the branches of pure psychology. So in this psychology is two types, like pure psychology as well as applied psychology. So in the pure psychology there are several branches are there. First is general psychology. So in this mainly we are focusing on the rules, principles and theories of the psychology. Next is the abnormal psychology. So in this we are focusing on the unusual behaviors of an individual. Next is the social psychology. So in this we are focusing on a group behavior and the relationship with each other. Now come to the next, that is psychological psychology. So biological as well as the physiological basis of behavior. Next is the parapsychology. So in this we are focusing on the extrasensory perception as well as the telepathy. Next is the geopsychology. So in this we are focused on the relationship of an environment with the behavior, how the environment is reflecting on the human behavior. So that is called geopsychology. Now come to the developmental psychology. So in this it is a factors which is mainly influencing the development of an individual from birth to death. So that is the developmental psychology. Means while one infant is growing up day wise as well as month wise and age wise, so how the other factors is affecting their psychologically through their development period. So that is called developmental psychology. Sometimes the family factor, culture factor, barrier factor, many other factors are there which is mainly affecting their psychological system. Now come to the experimental psychology. So in this we are focused on the fundamental and then general causes of behavior by scientific method. So while we are judging some person's behavior, so based on behind of that there is scientific method, right? So while we are focusing on the scientific method, why that people is behaving like that, what is the issue is happening and what is the main cause for that particular behavior, so that is called experimental psychology. Now come to the branches of applied psychology. So applied psychology is nothing but whatever theory we are studying in the pure psychology, so that principles, that theory, how it should be applied in our real life while we are talking or while we are behaving or while we are acting on some situation. So that is called applied psychology. Okay, so there are several branches are there. See, first is the educational psychology. So in this, it is mainly used in educational institutions. Okay, suppose as a nursing students, while you have entered in the nursing profession first time, it is very difficult to adjust in the particular situations like hospital, college, then many requirements, viva, many things are there, right? So at that time, psychologically we have to prepare that we have to do that. Otherwise, whoever people they doesn't cope up with that particular situation, they are mighty absconding from the particular course, right? So that is called educational psychology. So it is mainly used in an educational institution, and many big institution you can see there is a one academic counselor. Okay, so the main role of the academic counselor is nothing but to study and do the research on that particular student psychology, and based on that we have to give the advice. Now come to the next, that is clinical psychology. So used for the treatment of mentally sick individual. So when the persons are mentally sick or normal or paranormal, whatever, they are coming into the hospital, so they are psychologically there sometimes is becoming like a refraction, or sometimes they are becoming very anxiety, or sometimes they are feeling depressions and all. Okay, so at that time, as a healthcare workers, we have to provide a proper support to the family members as well as to the patients to become a mentally strong. Okay, so that at that time only they will be capable to cope up with that particular situation. Now come to the next, that is industrial psychology. So in this, it is used in organization during recruitment, training, etc. Now come to the next, that is legal psychology. So which is deals with the behavior of a persons like a clients, criminals and witness. So why they are doing that particular work, what is the main witness for this? Sometimes when a criminal do the crime, and also that time as a CID or as an investigator, they are mainly focusing on the particular issue why they did that particular crime, right? So that is the legal psychology. So based on that issue or based on the causes, we have to like collect all the data to submit into the legal process, right? So that is the legal psychology. Next is the military psychology, which is used in a military science, because some persons when they get past the exam and they have entered into the military profession as well as in environment, they can't able to adjust. Okay, so at that time they have to prepare their psychology or their mind based on their environment, and for that many people are there as a supporter or a specifically counselor also is there. Okay, next is the political psychology. So in this, it is used in studying politics as well as deriving the political gains. So in our India politics, whoever is under the politics, they have a huge mind to do some crimes by blindly, right? So same way they are using their psychology, what to do behind of the people eyes and how to gain the money. So that is the political psychology. Okay, now come to the next, that is commonly used defense mechanism. So first we have to know what is the defense mechanism. Defense mechanism is nothing but it's a like playing role of our psychological part, which is mainly helpful the people, which is mainly helping the persons to cope up with that particular situations and the dealing with that particular situations. Okay, so that is the defense mechanism. It is coming automatically from our mind. So there are several stages are there. Okay, so now come to the first defense mechanism, that is repression. So repression is nothing but it is the unconscious as well as involuntary forgetting of painful ideas, events and then conflicts. So automatically they are forgetting those things and they are again coming back in a normal life. Now come to the denial. So denial is nothing but unconscious refusal to admit an unacceptable idea or the behavior. So whatever they are behaving as a consciously or unconsciously, voluntary or involuntarily, so after that that particular conflict, if they are denying that particular behavior, no, I didn't do that, or it is not my mistake, so that is called denial. Okay, now come to the displacement. So displacement is nothing but it is the unconscious discharging of a pain of feeling to a less threatening object. Now come to the next, that is reaction formation. So reaction formation is nothing but replacement of a unacceptable feelings with their exact opposites. And next is the rationalization. is nothing but justifications of a failures and then offering the socially approval reasons for socially unacceptable behavior. So these all are about common defense mechanism: repression, denial, replacement, reaction formation, rationalization. Now come to the next defense mechanism. First is compensation. So in this we have to conscious the covering up for a weakness by overemphasizing or making of a desirable trait. So it's nothing but, suppose for you, if something happened bad, so as a compensate we have to give something which will be makeover of that particular object or particular things. Okay, so that is called a compensation. Now come to the projection. Projection is nothing but unconsciously blaming of someone else for one's difficulties. So when a person, they're doing mistake, they knows that it is their mistake, but still they are blaming the other person why they're reacting on that particular behavior. So that is called a projection. Okay, so that is also one of the defense mechanism. It's mainly help that particular person to remind that it is not his fault, to think that it is not his fault, it's the fault of particular person who is stand behind opposite of that particular person, means who is reacting on that particular person's behavior. Now come to the undoing. Undoing is nothing but it's a reversing, undoing a thought or a feeling by performing an action which is signifies as a opposite feeling. Next is the regression. Regression is nothing but reverting to an older, less mature way of handling stresses and feelings. So if you are not mature enough, so you are not capable to handle your emotions, handle your actions and anything. So at last, if you feel that it was your fault, so that time you will feel regret. So that is called regression. Now come to the deassociation. So it's nothing but unconscious separations of painful feelings and emotions from an unacceptable situation. So sometimes if we are cope up, we are tired to this particular explaining and all to other people, so that time we are dissociations our feelings from that particular situation to come back in a normal life. So that is the dissociation. Okay, now come to the next defense mechanism, that is suppression. Suppression is nothing but voluntary rejection of a unacceptable thoughts or feelings. Next is a substitution. So substitution is nothing but it is a unconscious placement of a unacceptable impulses which is needs with more acceptable one. Next is the isolation. So isolation is nothing but sometimes those people who are more depressed and all, they are not at all want to committed into the any society and all, so that time they are detaching themselves from the society, from other people and from the feelings, and they are hiding up inside of any corner, or they are staying by themselves. Okay, that is called isolation. Now come to the sublimation. So sublimation is nothing but it is a unconscious or the unconscious channeling of instructional drives into the acceptable activities, means we don't want to accept that particular things from the other persons, but we are driving ourselves to accept that. So that is called sublimation, for maintaining a proper relationship. So that is the sublimation. Now come to the conversion. So conversion is nothing but unconscious expression of intrapsychic conflict through the physical symptoms, means we are not able to give the proper expressions in that particular situation, but through the physical symptoms we are trying to tell them I don't like it, okay, or I don't want it. So that is the conversion. So these all are also most common defense mechanisms: suppression, substitution, isolation, sublimation, as well as conversion. So sometimes in the 5 marks or 10 marks they will ask you what is the defense mechanism and describe about the defense mechanisms. Okay, so that time you have to write in very detail. Okay, otherwise in the 2 marks or in a very short question, sometimes they are asking what is a suppression, what is a sublimation, what is the isolation. So that time particularly on that topic only you have to write. Okay, so these are defense mechanism is most important topic for short question as well as long questions. So now come to the next, that is conflict. So what is the conflict? Conflict is nothing but it's a painful emotional state which is resulting from the tension between opposed and then contradictory wishes. So when we are giving some instructions and another people also they are giving some instruction, but we both are not ready to accept with the other people's instructions. So that time what is happened, it's a emotional state is coming. Okay, so it is mainly opposing the other factor and contradictory the we are contradictions the wishes of that other people. So that time it's called as a conflict. Now come to the conflict occurs when one has to choose between equally desirable or the equally undesirable goals. So what goals we want to achieve and what goals we don't want to achieve, in between when we are stuck. So that is also one of the conflict. Okay, so there are several types of conflict is there. So see, first is approach to approach conflict. So approach to approach conflict is nothing but when a person they are forcing with two attractive alternatives while only one of them can be selected. So that is the approach to approach conflict. Means we have two examples. In that we have to select one research example to do the research. We are very much pretty sure that I can do the research solve of that particular problem, but we have two options. So in that we have to select one option. So that is called approach to approach conflict. Now come to the avoidance conflict. So it nothing but it arises when a person faces two undesirable situations and avoidance of one forces exposure to the other. So it's nothing but suppose one exposure you are getting or you are facing some triggering factor. So in that you have to avoid those trigger factor. Otherwise when you are conveying your message to the persons and they are avoiding same way in your message, so that is the avoidance and avoidance conflict. So that time what is happen, your mental state will be disturbed and the person mental state also will be disturbed and they will be thinking in their own way. So that is the avoidance conflict. So what is the solution for that? We have to come in a mutual decision and we have to sit and we have to talk. So that is the avoidance conflict resolution. Okay, now come to the approach avoidance conflict. So it's nothing but as a person you are obeying, giving some instruction or you are like conveying some message to other person, but they are not ready to listen your message. Okay, so that is the approach avoidance conflict. So see, it exists when one event or activity has both attractive as well as the unattractive features. Means while you are obeying this particular message, so that time you have some emotional factor behind of that, right? But it is attractive for you, but it is not attractive for that particular person to whom you are conveying this message. So that's why it's called approach avoidance conflict. Now come to the multiple approach and avoidance conflict. So in this what happened, it exists when a choice must be made between two or more alternative, each of which has both positive as well as the negative features. So you are conveying one message and another people also conveying some message, but they have which message you have conveyed. So in that there are several negative factor and several positive factor, but which message that particular person have conveyed, there is more positive factor compared to the negative factor, but you are not ready to accept that and he is also not ready to accept your message. So that time multiple complex situation is coming and that is called multiple approach avoidance conflict. Okay, so these all are about types of conflict and this is most important questions for your exam. So mind it, approach conflict, approach avoidance conflict, avoidance conflict and multiple approach avoidance conflict. Now come to the next, that is warning signs of the poor mental health. So when we will tell the person is not healthy mentally, so the person, if they are not ready to cope up with the particular situation, they can't able to handle their emotions, whatever they want in that particular time, if they can't able to control their emotions or control their thought in that particular time, so that time obviously the person will be considered as a mentally ill patient, right? So see, first in the younger children, these all are the symptoms, means signs. First is changes in the school performance, poor grades, excessive worry or anxiety all time, hyperactivity, persistent nightmares, persistent disobedience, then frequent temper tantrums. So these all are about signs of poor mental health for the younger children. Now come to for the older children and the adolescents. So for that, abuse of the drugs or alcohol, inability to cope with the daily problems, changes in the sleeping or the eating patterns, skipping school, stealing or the damaging property, excessive complaints related to the physical problems, and then frequent outburst of the anger. So these all are the signs of poor mental health for older children and the adolescent. In the complete adult, that is long lasting negative mood, irritability, social withdrawal, strong feelings of the anger, delusion or the hallucinations, thoughts or the suicide, and then abuse of the drugs or alcohol. So now come to the next, that is characteristics of a mentally healthy person. So when we'll call that the person is mentally healthy, so when the person will be able to cope up with the daily life situations as well as daily life activities, and they're ready to accept all the situations and they're ready to cope up with the situation, so that time it's called as a mentally healthy persons. Okay, so what is the characteristics? First is ability to make the adjustment, then accept the self and others, sense of a personal other, sense of personal worth, sense of the responsibility, lives in a world of reality other than the imaginary or the fantasy, then shows the emotional maturity, ability to cope or tolerate the stress, can functions effectively as well as independently, able to solve the problems, lives a well-balanced life of work, rest and then recreation. So these all are the characteristics of a mentally healthy persons. So these all are about mentally healthy persons characteristics. Now come to the psychological needs according to the all age group and role of nurse. So all age group means for the infant, for the adolescent, then for the childhood, for the preschool, school, how the psychological needs is growing up based on the developmental stage. So that is the most important questions for your exam. So here I can't explain more. Okay, so in that if you want to more details, you have to go to the ECNS applications and how the nurses, what is the nurse's role for helping them during the developmental stage to grow the psychological things properly for that particular persons. Okay, so these all are about important topics or important notes. Now come to the types of attention. So there are several types of attention is there, that is voluntary attentions or the volitional. So in this there are two types, implicit and explicit. So implicit is nothing but it is an unconscious automatic processing of information which happens without intentional effort or the awareness. So that is the implicit, and explicit is nothing but it's a request conscious or the volitional effort. Okay, so that is the difference. Now come to the involuntary, means enforced. So what is the enforced? It is a type of the involuntary attention which is automatically triggered by the intensive without any consciousness efforts. And next is the spontaneous. So spontaneous is nothing but type of the involuntary attentions occurs automatically without efforts or will driven by the internal factors like sensitivity, emotions rather than the external stimuli. So that is the spontaneous. Okay, now come to the alteration in attention. So alteration in attention is also known as a distraction, right? So this is also one of the most important questions for the 2 marks. What is the distraction? So distraction is nothing but it means any stimulus whose presence interference with the process of attentions or draws away attentions from the object which we wish to attend. Okay, so that is the distraction. Means you want to study but some factors, external factors or internal factors, whatever they are provoking you not to focus on your study. So that is the distractions. So this definition is given by the H.R. Bhatia in the year of 1968. Now come to the types of distraction, that is continuous and discontinuous. So continuous distraction is nothing but it is a continuing in nature, means continuously you can't able to focus. Example, the noise at the marketplace, the sound of the radio played continuously, etc. Next is the discontinuous, means the distract is regular in nature. Sometimes you can focus for the study, but if you are not mentally strong in that any phase, so that time you can't able to focus on the study. Okay, so simultaneously your attention will go from the study. So that is the discontinuous distraction. So example, the hearing of somebody's voice every now and then. Okay, now come to the aptitude. So aptitude is nothing but it is refers to the qualities which is characterizing a person's way of behavior which serve to indicate how well he can learn to meet and solve the certain specific kind of the problem in the life. So that is called the aptitude. So through their quality of life and person through their behavior as well as through their way of talking, how they're serving to as indications how well he can learn to meet, means how well he can cope up with the daily life situations and solve the certain problem. So this definition is given by the Bingham in the year of 1937. So see, psychometric assessment for the cognitive process, so that is nothing but neuropsychological testing, which is a procedure which is measured as well as they are identifying the cognitive parameters, impairment and then functioning of the individual. So see the assessment of intelligence, how you have to assess. There are two ways, individual test and group test. Okay, so individual means individually one by one you are testing the persons, and group means group wise you are testing. So individually in the sense verbal test and non-verbal test, means orally you are talking like an interview method you are assessing, and non-verbal test means without talking you are observing that particular patients or particular persons and you are through the observation you are assessing that. And in the group test same way, verbal or non-verbal. Verbal means through the interview technique or by the talking communications, and non-verbal means by the observations. Okay, now come to the next, that is measurement of the aptitude. So aptitude measurements is nothing but it's a predict the success as well as the failure rate in an activity for the vocational or career guidance, and the planning how they are used to measure different aptitudes such as general learning ability, numerical ability, verbal ability, etc. So there are several measurement is there. First is verbal reasoning, numerical reasoning, abstract reasoning, logical reasoning, and then specialty test. So to know more details about that particular reasoning and all the measurement of the aptitude, just go and check with the easiness application. Now come to the alterations in cognitive process. So how our cognitive process is changed? First is alteration in attention, that is called distraction. Now come to the alteration in sensation, alteration in a perception, in learning, in memory, as well as alterations in a thinking and alteration in intelligence. Okay, now come to the effects of stress. So if you were taking so many stress, or if you are getting so much stress from work side or from your personal life, so how it will affect on your daily life? See, first is a headache. You will get a severe headache in one side from the back of your eyes to till the end of your head part. Okay, so that is called tension headache. Now come to the fatigue. You will feel more dizziness, more vomiting type sensation. Sometimes some people they are feeling the loose motions. Sometimes they are feeling so much bloating inside of the stomach, etc. Next is a stop problems, means sleep problems. They can't able to sleep with a proper stress situations. Okay, they can't even sleep properly, they were not getting enough sleep, etc. Next is a stomach upset. As I saw, sometimes the person they are feeling vomiting sensation, sometimes they are feeling the loose motion sensation, etc. Then chest pain. In left side of your chest it will be more hurting sensation, like pinching sensation you will feel. And next is the muscle tension or the pain, mean muscle ache also you can feel for the stress. Now come to the stress. So what is the stress? Stress is nothing but it's the arousal of a mind and body in response to the demand made upon them. Okay, so it is an external stimuli which is mainly affect on your mind, and affect or based on the mind you will be affected on your body also. So that definition is given by the Scaffold in the year of 2000. Now come to the next, that is stress cycle. So what is the stress cycle? How the stress is affecting our normal body? First is the stressor, means the provoking factor. So it is reaction on the reaction to the stress. So when you are taking some tension from any particular object, so as a trigger factor it is coming as a stress, means a stressor factor, then wear and then tear on body. So for that you can't able to control your emotion as well as your anger. So that time some people they are crying in that particular situation, or sometimes they are not crying but they are becoming very silent. After that, reduce the optimum health. So optimum health in the sense you have to maintain a proper health. And next is increase the sensitivity too. So these all are the stress cycle. Stressor, reactions to the stress, wear and tear on body, reduce the optimum health and increase the sensitivity too. Now come to the adaptation to the stress. So there is general adaptation syndrome. First is the alarm alarm reaction. So alarm reaction is nothing but the initial response to a stressor that typically involves the secretion of epinephrine, norepinephrine, and then cortisol among the other hormones. Next is the resistance development. So the body, they started to attempt to repair itself following the cessation of a stressor or the continued rise of the hormones in response of the threat persistence. Okay, so through the hormonal balance, the body is also trying to heal itself, like to distract your mind from that particular stressor factor. Next is the recovery and exertion. It is a threat subside, so body will begin the preparing and adapting to the prior stresses. So if the threat doesn't subside, the body will reach exertions when it can no longer continue managing the stressor, which is unable to return to the normal functioning. So these all are about general adaptation syndrome. This is also one of the most important 2 marks questions. Okay, now come to the coping with the stress. So coping, it is refers to the thoughts as well as the behavior which we will use to handle the stress in an anticipated stress. So coping strategy fall into the 3 category. So first is the emotion focused coping. So in this form, the people, they try to manage their emotions in the face of stress. Next is the problem focused coping. So it includes taking the direct action for solving the problems as well as changing and modifying the stressful problem. Next is the avoidance coping or the escape coping. So it is a maladaptive form of the coping where the person tries for the minimizing as well as avoid the thinking about feeling or performing the threatening event. Now come to the self-employment. So according to the Bandura, in the year of 1986, empowerment is nothing but it is a process through which an individual gains efficiency and the skills to control one's own environment. So that is the self-empowerment. Means when you are getting hurt from something and you are taking a learn from that particular situations, and based on that you are modifying yourself. So that is the empowerment. Means through the through the hurting you are learning, and based on that you are building yourself. Okay, so that is the self empowerment. So dimensions are nothing but physical dimension, psychological dimension, economic or political dimension, and then cognitive dimension. So physical dimension is nothing but like physically you are changing yourself, so that is the physical dimension. Psychological means mentally you are changing. Then economic and political dimensions as well as cognitive dimensions. So self empowerment development is nothing but at the individual level what happened, they develop the feelings of personal power, their command and then self-sufficiency. At the interpersonal level, they are influence the decision making power of the others through their contact and then working together. And then the societal level, what is happened, they are emphasizing the social change through the community development programs. Okay, so these all are about self-developmental empowerment. Now come to the steps of self-empowerment development. First is the identify the goal. So when you were hurting something and based on that you are fixing your goal, I have to change in these portions of my life or of my body or of my mentally. So based on that you have to select a goal. Next, we have to increase your knowledge. How to do that? What to do that? If we will do that, what should be the many external factors which will be provoking me not to do that? Okay, so whether I can cope up with those particular situations or not. These all are about increase the knowledge. Next is increase the self-efficiency. Means we have to encourage ourselves to do that, because many more factors will come which will be push back you. Okay, but we have to motivate ourselves to do that. Next one is the increase the skills and then competence. Next is the take action. So based on that, when we are completely mentally prepared, then we have to take the actions to do that particular reach the goal. Okay, next is the assess the result. Then we have to assess ourselves whether it is the effective for me or not, whether it is affected for the public or for the people, which was which was the main bad portions for my life. Okay, next is the replan. Now come to the scope of the name. Now we have entered into the sociology. Okay, so in this first is scope of the sociology. So what are the scope? First is sociology covers a wide range of the areas including social institution like family, education, religion as well as the government. Okay, Now come to the social relationship, like interactions among the individual and group, then social change, evolution of a societal over time, cultural and norms, they have the shared values, norms, practices, etc. Then a social problem issues like a poverty, crime as well as inequality, then health and medicine, so social accept the health, illness and healthcare system. Now come to the social process. So what is the social process? It is refers as a repetitive as well as a pattern interactions between individual and groups in society, which is shaping the social relationship and then cultural development over time. So it is mainly plays a key role in the maintaining social order and changes. So first is types of social process. First is associative process. So in this it involves the interactions and then cooperative between individuals or groups for achieving a common goal such as cooperation, accommodation as well as the assimilation. And next is the de-associative process. So it refers the process where individual or the group experience conflict, separation, disintegration such as competition, conflict and then disagreement. Now come to this assimilation. So what is the assimilation? It is a process by which the individual or the groups from the different cultural backgrounds, they are adopting their norm, their values, their thought and practices of a dominant culture, often resulting in the loss of distinct culture traits from the minority group. So it's nothing but suppose you are belongs from another different culture and other people, they are also belongs to another different culture, right? But what is happening? The other people, they are trying to dominate your culture or your thought based on their culture. Okay, so at that time you are by inner side you are losing yourself in, you are losing your own cultural traits. So that is the assimilation. Now come to the characteristics. First is cultural integration. So in this the minority group, they are adopting the cultural traits such as language, values, custom, social practice for the dominant group. Now come to the loss of distinct identity. So the assimilating group means the dominating group, the gradually loses its original cultural identity as they conform to the dominant culture norms, means they are dominating their own culture and they are reforming their culture based on the dominating group culture. Next is the social acceptance. So the successful assimilation, they leads to the minority group being accepted and then integrated into the larger society without discrimination or the marginalization. So the dominated group, they want to submit or to represent their own thought or their own like society's cultures and values based compared to their own culture. Okay, next is the gradual process. So assimilation typically occurs over a long period of time. So often across the generation, cultural integration takes place slowly. Next is the mutual influence. So what is this? Although the assimilation involves the adoptions of a dominant culture, there may still be some degree of influence from the minority culture on the majority, contributing to the cultural adaptation and then changes. So if the minority group, they want to represent their own culture, they can do over beyond to the dominating cultures. Okay, so these all are about characteristics. Now come to the culture. So what is this? Culture is nothing but it refers as a shared belief, their thought, their values, custom, behaviors and then artifacts which is characterized as a group of a people, and they're transmitted from one generation to another generation through the language, through the socialization and through the practices. So based on the CC note, the culture is nothing but it is a considering in the instruments which is constituted by a man to assist him in satisfying his wants. Next is a Graham Wells. So in this, culture is an accumulation of a thought, values and object, which is a social heritage which is acquired by the us from biological heritage, which is passed on to the automatically through the generation. Now come to the aspect of the culture. First is a learned. So culture is not a inherited biologically but acquired through the socialization, shared. It is common among the members of a particular group or society. Dynamic. Culture involves or adapt to the social, economic or technological changes. And then symbolic, it includes the language, their thoughts, their gestures, rituals have the specific meaning. Now come to the next, that is socialization. So what do you mean by the socialization? Socialization is nothing but it's a process by which the individual learn and then internalize their value, their belief and their norms for their culture as well as for the society. So it starts from the infancy and continue throughout the life. So that is called as a socialization. Okay, so socialization is nothing but when the particular persons When the particular persons, they are individually they're learning, as well as they're like internalize the values and their belief and thought, and based on that they're continuing from one generation to another generation. So that time it's called as a socialization. Now come to the agents of socialization. So first is a family. So family is nothing but like primary agents of socialization. Peers influence on the attitude. School socialize the individual into the societal role, its technology, and then shape and moral or ethical standard. Next is the mass media plays a role in shaping the values and norms, which is influencing individual on a wide scale. Then the religion, which is provides a moral guidance and influence behavior through the teaching and practices. Now come to the characteristics of a socialization. So what all are the characteristics? First is a lifelong process. So socialization occurs throughout the life from childhood till the old age. Next is a learning process. So in this, individual they acquire their knowledge, their skills, their values and their behaviors. Next is influenced by the society. So in this, social norms, culture and traditions, they shape the process. Development of a personality. So it helps in shaping the individual's personality and then identity. Then happens through the interactions. It occurs via the communication with the family, peers, media and institutions. Next is the formal and informal. So it can be structured on the unstructured. And then transmission of a culture, it's nothing but it passes the cultural values, tradition from one generation to another generation. Now come to the features. So socialization, it is a process in which the individuals they learn and adopt the norms, values, behaviors and role of their society. So what are the key features? Same way, lifelong process, socialization which is begins and birth and continue till the death. Agents of socialization like family, peers, school, media, religion, etc. Cultural transmission, it helps the pass cultural values and tradition from one generation to another generation. Development of our identity, it shapes an individual's self-concept and social rules. Adaptation to the society, so in this it enables the individuals to function effectively in our society. Then formal and informal socialization, it occurs through the structured institution like school, workplace and then casual interaction like family and friends. And dynamic process, so it involves the changes in the cultural, the technology as well as the personal experience. Now come to the social change. So it denotes a difference in anything observed from some period. So social change mainly refers to the alteration in the school structure, cultural patterns, social behaviors over time. So it is occurs due to the technological advancement, economic shift, political movement, cultural transformation. So social change can be very gradual or sudden, affecting the individual, communities and other societies. So what are the characteristics? First is the universal, which is occurs in every society. Continuous process, which is happens over time or never stop. Varies in the speed, means some changes are slow like cultural evolution, while others are fast like technological advancement. Next is can be planned and unplanned. Some changes are deliberate government policies, which others are spontaneous natural disaster. Impact on the society, affect the values, norm, institution and behavior. Interconnections, changes in one area influence the other aspect of society like education, affect the employment. Next is the positive or negative effect, which can improve the quality of life or create the challenges like industrialization led to the economic growth but also the pollutions. Now come to the next, that is causes of social change. First is natural factor like climate change, natural disaster, earthquake, etc. Technological advancement like innovations like internet, smartphone, then medical advancement, change communication, healthcare, lifestyle. Then economic factor like industrialization, urbanization, globalization, shift the local and economic structure. Next is the political changes like revolution, wars and then government policies impact the society. Then cultural and then religious factor like in changes in beliefs, tradition and practices, which is lead to the social shift. Next is the education and awareness, which is higher literacy rates and awareness lead to the changes in values and behavior like a health campaigns reducing the smoking. And then social movement like civil rights movement, feminism and then environmental activism driven transformation. Now come to the types of social change. So planned change is nothing but it is a deliberate efforts to modify the society. Example like government policies, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Next is the unplanned change is nothing but unexpected changes due to the external forces, as example natural disaster, pandemics, as example COVID-19. Next is the evolutionary change, means gradual development over time. So example, agriculture to the industrial economy. Next is the revolutionary change. It's a rapid fundamental changing transformations, as example in French Revolution, independence movement, etc. Next is the technological change. So innovative alternative lifestyle as well as communication. So as example, artificial intelligence, social media, etc. Next is the cultural change, is nothing but modifications in a tradition and custom. So as example, Western influence on the dressing, food habits, etc. Now come to the role of nurse as a change agent. So nurses, they are playing a major role. First is health promotion and disease prevention. So in this, the nurses, they conduct the awareness programs of hygiene, nutrition, vaccination, lifestyle changes, advocate for the preventive healthcare in the community. Next is the patient and then community education. So in this, the nurses, they are educating the patients and family members about the disease management, maternal and child health, as well as the self-care. Next is the policy advocacy and leadership. So in this, the nurses, they are influencing healthcare policies for improving the patient care as well as nursing standard. Next is the technological adaptation. They are promoting the telemedicine, electronic health records, as well as digital health literacy in the rural areas. Next is the social reforms and human right advocacy. So in this, as a nurse, they are supporting the gender equality, domestic violence prevention, and the reproductive health rights. Next is emergency and disaster response. So in this, they are leading the disaster relief effort and then provide care during the pandemic situations and then earthquake. And last is research and then evidence-based practice. So in this, they are conducting the studies on public health issues to repose the better healthcare strategy. Now come to the cultural lag. So it occurs when the material culture like technology, economy, they changes faster than the non-material culture like beliefs, values, tradition, which is leading a gap between them. So what is the causes? First is resistant to change, means people prefer the familiar tradition, lack of awareness, slow adaptation to the new knowledge, then religious as well as the social values or the belief. Certain practice take time to adjust, like opposition to the genetic engineering. Then economic factors, financial constraint, delay the adaptation to the new technology. So what are the example? First is the medical advancement versus ethical beliefs. So stem cell research faces the ethical opposition. Then technology versus social adaptation, means social media which is spread fast but regulations lag behind. And next is industrialization versus environmental policies. So in these factories, they develop quietly, but pollution control laws take time to the implement. Now come to the marriage. So what is the marriage? It is a socially as well as legally recognized union between individuals and then established rights, obligation, and relationship. So it is a culturally approved, legally recognized, socially accepted relationship between the individual. They create a family bond and then obligations. So it typically involves the cohabitation, sexual relation, and then economical cooperation. So there are several types. So based on the number of partners, there are several types are there. First is the monogamy, means two individual only, they have married legally, emotionally, as well as sexually. Next is the polygamy. Polygamy means when one partner, they have a multiple spouse or multiple husband. So see the polygamy, when one husband is having more than one wife. Next is the polyandry, when one woman has having the more than one husband. Next is the group marriage, means group wise. Next is characteristics of the marriage. First is socially and legally recognized, then mutual commitment for mutual understanding, regulated by the laws and customs, then foundation for the family, economic cooperations, then preference as well as the stability, exclusive relationship, mutual support as their companionship. Now come to the next, that is based on selection of partner, that is endogamy, like marriage within a specific social culture or the religious group. As example, caste-based marriage. Exogamy means marriage outside of the one social cultural plan or the community. Homogamy means marriage between the individuals with similar characteristics like education, class, ethnicity, etc. And heterogamy, marriage between individuals with the different backgrounds or the social characteristics. Now come to the based on cultural practice and arrangement. So based on that, arranged marriage. So family or the community elders, they choose the spouse or the wife based on their culture and the social consideration. Love marriage, individual, they choose by their own partners and they are going for the marriage. Next is the forced marriage, one and both individuals, they are married without their consent, means considered a violation of a human rights. Next is the elopement. So it's nothing but marriage without family approval, often in a secret phase. Now come to the based on legal or religious recognition, that is civil marriage. So legally recognized by the government but may involve in religious ceremonies. Next is the religious marriage. So it is recognized by the religious institution, often involving the traditional rituals. Next is the common law marriage. It's a union recognized by the society after a couple they living together for a certain period without a formal ceremony. Next is a same-sex marriage. It is a legally recognized union between individuals of a same gender, now accepted in many countries. Okay, now come to the family. So family is nothing but it's a social institution which is consist of the individual created by the blood, marriage or the adoption, living together and fulfilling the social, emotional as well as the economical roles. So there are several types of family. First is the nuclear family, which is consist of a two parents, mother and father, and their children living together. Next is the extended family. So includes the multiple generations like living together, such as grandparents, their children, their aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. Next is a joint family, a common structure in many Asian culture where multiple generations including siblings and their families living together. Next is a single parent family, when if a family member with one parent raises their kids due to some accident, due to divorce or due to death, etc. Next is a blended family, so formed when the two previously married individuals with the children come together and newly married, okay, and they are living together, so that is called blended family. Next is a same-sex family, so a family when both parents are from the same gender and they're raising the children through their adoption, their surrogacy or the previous relationship. Next is a child-free family, so a couple that they choose not to have children but they are involving in many family units, so that is the child-free family. Okay. Now come to the functions of a family. First is socialization. So the family is the first agent of the socialization, which are teaching their children about the language, norms, values and custom. Next is the emotional support and stability. So they are mainly providing the love, affection and psychological security. Next is the reproduction and then continuation of a society. So they are mainly ensuring the biological and cultural or the continuation of a society. Economic support, they are providing the financial stability and resource of the members. Then regulation of a sexual behavior, so mainly they are defining the appropriate sexual relationship and enforce the social norms regarding the marriage and reproduction. And last is social status and identity, so in this they are determining the individual social class, ethnicity, religion and culture background. So now come to the next, that is characteristics of a family include universal institutions, so family exist in all the human society. Emotional bond, strong the emotional connection among the members. Socialization, family is the first agent of socialization for the children. Then the economic unit, they are providing the financial and then maternal support to the members. Reproductive function, ensure the continuation of a human race. Protective function, provide the security and care to the members. Authority and the roles, it's a hierarchy which refine the roles of the members. Cultural transmission, they passes the values, tradition, customs to new generation. Dynamic and evolving, means changes with the time due to social, economic and technological factor. Health and well-being, affects the physical and mental health of the members. So these all are the most important topic. Other than that, from the sociology, these three are also most important topic, that is social stratification, total organization and then social disorganization. Okay, so in this session I discussed so many important topic from the sociology as well as the psychology, and all the very best for your upcoming exam. I hope you all understood my sessions. Again we'll meet in next Lakshya 3.0, and if you want to update yourself, then stay tuned with the Easy Nurse. Thank you.